Good evening and thank you for joining us. We have now reached the midway point of the Under-18 Baseball World Cup here in Thunder Bay. Organizers say they are very pleased with how everything has gone so far. And although they were hoping to see a bit more walk-up traffic to boost attendance levels, the baseball fans who have been coming to watch the 12 countries compete say they're enjoying every minute of it. Molly Fromer has that story.
Team Canada finally got into the win column on Monday night with a much-needed victory over Team Italy. The win came after Canada lost its two first games at the tournament, which was a concern for organizers trying to bring out the largest possible crowds. Executive Director of the Thunder Bay International Baseball Association, Warren Philp, says they were not sure what ticket sales were going to be like with this year's event falling on Labor Day weekend. But he says they're pleased with how things are going overall.
We thought we'd have a bit bigger walk-up crowd over the Labor Day weekend, but it has been Labor Day weekend and people are enjoying that final weekend of holidays, I think. We want them to realize that this is finishing up on Sunday and get on board now and ride it through to the finish.
And although Team Canada is the big draw, hundreds of baseball fans are also turning out to see some of the other 11 countries in action. At Port Arthur Stadium, the cooler weather did not keep fans away from coming out to see the top-ranked Japan playing South Africa. And over at Baseball Central, Team Mexico was competing against the Netherlands. We had the chance to speak with some baseball fans who attended the games at both stadiums throughout the morning.
Watching these young men, they're all seeming so serious about their sport. We're here to see Netherlands and Mexico, and excited to sort of see this happen in our community.
These guys are here on a Mexican exchange at Confederation College, and so we decided a really good opportunity would be able to come and support their country and watch the baseball game, so they're super excited.
Viva Mexico!
We are studying in Confederation College, and it was a great opportunity to watch the match.
The game is pretty cool. Japan seems to be crushing it 7-0, I think.
It's awesome because just to see a bunch of the countries competing against each other, it doesn't happen a lot here, and it's something to see.
With the fall weather already here, Philp suggests that fans be prepared to dress appropriately for the weather. Rain caused a bit of havoc with the tournament schedule on Saturday. And although the precipitation is expected to hold off heading into the playoff round this weekend, temperatures are expected to reach highs only in the mid-teens throughout the rest of the week.
We are Northerners, and September baseball is part of the season, and let's get out there and support Team Canada in your red and white.
Molly Fromer, TBT News.
It was a bit of a disappointing start for Team Canada at the Under-18 World Baseball Championships, starting out 0-2. Got things back on track late last night, though, even though they had to stage a rally to do it.
And they should be a confident bunch, which is a good thing, and hopefully they won't have to resort to the rally caps tonight, probably their biggest game of the tournament. Well, the Canadians came into last night's game with a clearly defined path to Thursday's Super Round. A difficult path, but clearly laid out nonetheless. Win against the Italians, upset Australia tonight, and then take care of business against the Nicaraguans tomorrow. And they're in. Step one has been accomplished. Colton Prale has more on Team Canada's first win of the tournament.
Picked this one up in the bottom of two. Ben Abram on the mound for Canada, and he gets taken for a ride by Leonardo Seminati. The hulking first baseman launches one out of the park, and Italy take an early 1-0 lead. Top of the third now, Archer Brookman steals third on a wild pitch from Italian pitcher Gabriel Dalganese, who walks his third straight batter immediately afterwards. That would do it for his night. In comes Oscar Tucci. First batter he faces, he gives up an RBI single. That could have been more. Denzel Clark batted in Brookman, but Michael Stoveman got tagged at the plate to end the inning. The Canadians tie it up at 1. Bottom of 4 now. Watch the first baseman. This ball hit down the line. Brookman thinks it goes foul and doesn't play it. That gives Italy a double and puts 2 in scoring position. Umpires confer. They say it stayed fair, and you know this is coming back to bite them. Next batter, Ricardo Flecy gets some solid contact for a 2 RBI double, and Italy regain the lead. It's 3-1. Now in the 5th, Tucci hits 2 batters in a row, this time catching Stoveman on the elbow. So with men on first and second, it's catcher Victor Cerny. He sends one straight to the second baseman, who bobbles the ball after making the first out. And instead of turning 2, Archer Brookman's in to score. Canada back to within 1. Now Harley Golaire hurling. He took over with 2 in scoring position, and he can't escape it. Ricardo Segundo Paolini doing the damage this time. He knocks out a 2 RBI double, and Italy is throwing up runs like they're throwing up hands. It's 5-2. We move to the 6th. Denzel Clark on second. Jason Willow sends one deep to center. That's good for a double and good for Clark to score. Canada makes it 5-3. They tied it up in the 8th, setting it up for a magical comeback. 9th inning, Clayton Keys pinch running for Stoveman and immediately paying off. Keys steals third base, and then it's Marc-Antoine Lebreu-Beauchemin. The Montreal product hits a sac fly to left. Keys scores. Canada stays alive. They take this one 6-5, the final. Colton Prale, TBT Sports.
Checking out action earlier today, top-ranked Japan runs its record to 4-1, routing South Africa 12-0. The Netherlands are now 2-3, blanking Mexico 4-0. Chinese Taipei moves a step closer to securing a playoff spot, beating Nicaragua 10-5, while South Korea kept up its winning ways handily over Italy by 9 runs.
As the U-18 World Cup of Baseball heads into the Super Round, all eyes are on the field. But while it's the players who have been making headlines, it's the tournament's unsung volunteers who are keeping things running. Colton Prale has more on what it takes to run the World Cup of Baseball.
10 days, 50 games, and roughly 200 hours of playing time. The Under-18 World Cup of Baseball has taken over Thunder Bay, but there's a lot more to the tournament than what happens on the field.
It ranges from field maintenance to chaperones for drug testing and venue managers spread around. Because we don't only have volunteers at the baseball venues, Port Arthur Stadium and Baseball Central, but our logistics hub is the community auditorium. And then we got 6 teams staying at the Valhalla, 6 teams staying at the Air Lane, and all our international officials staying at the Best Western Nor'Wester.
Over 500 volunteers are taking on the monumental task of ensuring the tournament runs smoothly. It's a task that runs longer than most day jobs, but unlike the typical 9 to 5, there's an energetic atmosphere that makes it worthwhile.
It's been a little crazy, but fun crazy, not bad crazy. Long days. We open at 7 a.m. in the morning. We close at 11 p.m. And if there's a late game or a rain delay, we might be working later than that. So exciting, fun, great.
For some volunteers, the tournament has been more than a chance to enjoy the game. It's been a chance to get to experience other cultures and to bridge the gap between North America and continents across the globe.
Yeah, you know what? Having them invite me to their table at the Air Lane for supper was quite nice. They serve their coaches. They make sure their coaches are taken care of as far as supper first. Then they serve themselves, and at the end, watching them clean up after themselves. I mean, that was pretty amazing to watch.
Well, if it takes a village to raise a child, it takes an army to put on a baseball tournament. The U-18 Baseball World Cup has gone off without a hitch, and that's only thanks to the hard work of the hundreds of volunteers. Colton Prale, TBT News.
If Fiona, rain hasn't affected play today or tonight. Hopefully that's a trend that can continue, say, till the tournament's final day on Sunday.
We talked yesterday at the NewsHour about Canada's slow start at the Under-18 World Baseball Championships, but boy, have they ever come roaring back.
And that's exactly what you want to see, because we got the playoffs just around the corner and the Super Round starts tomorrow. So Canada definitely picked the right time to get hot. Well, for them, win and you're in. That was the situation facing Team Canada tonight at the Under-18 World Cup of Baseball. The Canadians looking to extend their winning streak to 3 and secure a spot in the Super Round, which will start tomorrow. And Canada came out running as they surged in front 5-0. They opened the scoring with 3 runs in the first, added 2 more in the third. Nicaragua, though, has come back. They scored 2 in the fourth. They are now in the top of the 5th inning, and Canada leads it 5-2. The other game played this afternoon, Mexico breaks into the win column for the first time as they humbled their opponent, South Africa, 14-1. Now, Team Canada put themselves in that situation today as they reeled off their second straight win to keep their playoff hopes alive last night against Australia. Jonathan Wilson recaps.
More than 3,000 fans on hand at Port Arthur Stadium to catch Team Canada in another must-win game for playoff contention. Canada's starting pitcher Jack DeCooman had a strong night against the big sluggers from Australia, striking out Alex Hall to wrap up a 1-2-3 first inning. And in the bottom of the first, Canada showing its power. With one man on, Archer Brookman hits his second home run of the tournament over the right field wall, and it's 2-0 Canada. Next batter, Michael Stoveman, and it's back-to-back jacks as he hits this one over the left field wall. Just like that, it's 3-0 Canada. This young fan in the outfield bleachers has himself a souvenir home run ball. To the second inning now, and Canada quickly has two men on base after a double by Denzel Clark and a walk by Lucas Parente. Aussie starting pitcher Jackson Boyd gets a pep talk from his catcher to settle him down, but it's to no avail. Next pitch, it's Edouard Julien. And he hits a bomb to dead center field. It's way up the Black Tower wall. That scores three more for Canada. It's Julian's second homer this week, and it's 6-0 Canada after just 2 innings. Australia would score 1 run in the 4th inning on a sacrifice fly, but Canada comes back in the 5th with the bases loaded. Jason Willow draws a walk on a 3-2 count, and Clayton Keys comes in to score. Canada's next batter, the DH Dondre Bremner, drills a single to left field to score Archer and make it 8-1 Team Canada. Relief pitcher Cade Smith comes in the 7th inning and quickly allows 1 run to Australia, but then he settles down the rest of the way. Canada beats the Aussies 8-2 and evens their record at 2 wins and 2 losses, heading into their final round-robin game against Nicaragua. Manager Greg Hamilton knows every run counts with tiebreakers factored in and says the early home runs were a pleasant surprise.
Well, I mean, you'll take those, right? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say we're a knock a fence down type team, but you know, it's usually a team that has to push a little bit, and you got a little bit of power in spots, but it's really is you know, a collective effort offensively, but we'll take the long ball. It worked real well today.
We know we have to win tomorrow, so we're gonna come out tomorrow, try to come out the same start. We're gonna try to carry some of this emotion, not all of it, but some of it tomorrow morning or tomorrow night, and hopefully we can put a few on the board early again and then just shut her down with our pitching staff.
Jonathan Wilson, TBT Sports.
Well, millions of baseball fans in Japan have had their eyes glued on Thunder Bay this past week. The junior national team is a huge draw back home, and many of its players are household names. Japanese media from every major newspaper and media outlet are here to follow the team's exploits at Port Arthur Stadium. Jonathan Wilson has that story.
Team Japan won this important game over Australia, a 4-3 nail-biter in extra innings. Viewers back in Japan were no doubt on the edge of their seats to see if this all-star team of rising baseball heroes could pull out the win at the U-18 World Cup. Japanese broadcaster Takeshi Yokoi says 1 in 5 TV and internet viewers in that country, of more than 100 million people, are following this tournament.
It's pretty much same as a Japanese professional final game. It's about 20% for the TV rating in Japan.
Every major Japanese newspaper, daily newspaper is represented, and all the non-rights TV. So Japan is the big story in terms of this tournament. We kind of knew it would be, and we've been working on trying to meet the needs of them.
Team Japan was not here for the 2010 tournament because of scheduling conflicts. As a result, World Cup officials moved these tournaments to September so they wouldn't overlap with Japan's high school baseball playoffs. Those games attract huge crowds, and 18-year-old Kotaro Kiyomiya is idolized as the Japanese Babe Ruth after setting the record this year for home runs by a teenager.
High school baseball is so huge in Japan. The guy on the field here, Kotaro Kiyomiya, the first baseman for Japan, played in the 2015 event in Osaka, and he's back here as an 18-year-old with the 2017 team, and he's literally a superstar in Japan already.
All of Japanese people knows about him, such a breaking up his high school record in Japan, so everybody knows about him.
Japan lost to the U.S. in the finals at the last 2 U-18 World Cups, so there's a lot of pressure on this #1 ranked team to win here. Team Japan takes on Team Canada on Friday night.
That's going to be a huge game for us. If you want to see the cultural side of baseball, Japan and the way they play the game is the small ball game, but they do have the power as well. It's a really neat combination, so I encourage fans to get out and watch a great game between Canada and Japan.
Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
Well, the preliminaries are over at the World Under-18 Baseball Championships, and for Team Canada, their biggest test of the tournament tonight.
Yeah, tonight and then tomorrow night they get the 2 top seeds and the defending champs, the Americans, in a game that should be starting momentarily. So Bring on the U.S. That'll be the battle cry in Team Canada's dugout as the Canadians look to hand the Americans their first loss this evening at the Under-18 Baseball World Cup at Port Arthur Stadium. Canada will take a 1-1 record into their opener of the Super Round. They reeled off their third straight win of the tournament last night against Nicaragua. Colton Prail recaps.
Their shaky start to the tournament quickly became old history when Team Canada took on Nicaragua. The Canadians barreled out of the gate, jumping to an early 3-0 lead. From there, they never looked back. The Nicaraguans pulled to within 2 at one point, but a monstrous 7th inning saw Team Canada put up a whopping 10 runs, highlighted by a home run from first baseman Archer Brooksman that was called a 2-run triple, even after the umps conferred. But thankfully, Victor Cerny quickly rectified that with a 3-run moonshot of his own.
It's a great feeling, especially that being my first Team Canada home run. So it's amazing. It's nothing like there in the world. Never had this experience before, and having this crowd behind us as we play, it's amazing. And it's a great group of guys.
That was all the Nicaraguans could handle. The game was called after 7. Canada takes a convincing 15-3 victory and seals their position in the Super Round.
Yeah, I mean, you go 0-2 to start, and it doesn't look real good, and you have no margin, and obviously from an offensive perspective, we really picked it up, and real excited to get into crossover games with good teams, and hopefully a lot of energy in the stadium. Well, I mean, obviously you're not going to put up 9s all the time. We'll take it tonight. It allowed us to kind of manage our pitching accordingly, and it was getting a little bit too close there, so we're pretty happy with how it played out.
While it may not come as a surprise to those who have been watching the tournament, for those who have followed the team longer, the fact that Canada's offense is coming so heavily from the long ball is a pleasant surprise.
I think we got some team speed, we got some balance, right-left balance, and there's some power in there, but it's not a it's not a team that's defined by slugging by any means, but we do have some guys with some power.
Being with this team for the last 2 years, we haven't actually been the biggest power team. We don't come out swinging a lot, but this tournament, I guess, we've just been seeing good pitches and I mean putting the ball out, and that's good because it always helps offense, right? So it's good.
Despite that fact, Canada leads the tournament with 9 home runs. Willow added a solo shot of his own to that total against Nicaragua. Canada will need their bats at their absolute best in the next round. They face undefeated USA. That goes Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Colton Prail, TBT Sports.
The Super Round started this morning with Japan slipping by Australia 4-3. South Korea stays perfect, outslugging Cuba 17-7. Over on the consolation side, Italy routed South Africa 9-2, while Chinese Taipei knocked off Mexico 9-1.